wrestling card collectors. Welcome to a special edition of WTC TV. And today we're going to be talking about this monumental news announcement today of Panini and WWE. Hey, Brett, how you doing, man?
What is up, Tony? How are you?
Taken aback, all this stuff going on that's happening today. Still can't process it all.
Did something happen today?
I don't know.
Nothing. It's been a completely worthless day.
Just another Tuesday.
Just another Tuesday. All I know is I got to take the trash out tonight. That's all I know. So what's going on, guys? I mean, Jesus, this is something that for a lot of people, it's brand new news. But for some of us even like Adam here have known for months this was going to be happening. And now it just drops the ball on everybody. And what a huge announcement, right? I mean,
historic
Adam,
day in the wrestling card community.
Yeah. What do you say, Adam?
Yeah. I mean, this is about as big as it gets. If you're a wrestling card collector, this is the powder keg going off. And I think that as more and more people get exposed to kind of the type of market reaction that typically happens when Panini takes over a license and announces a set like Prism, things get crazy. And I think we're going to be at the forefront of that right now. I think you've already started to see things starting to go up and even overnight. And now I think we're going to get some really good information, probably solicitation on Prism and a few other things coming out. So as soon as that happens and as soon as we get more information into our hands, I think we're going to see a lot of new faces and new eyes on this that we've never seen before. It's been in the works for a while, and I'm glad it finally dropped. I was wondering when that shoe was going to drop because I had heard that April 22 was the drop dead date, and now that we've finally got everything out and Bloomberg broke the news this morning and Panini sort of hopped on that back, I think it's a red letter day for sure. Red letter day.
What are your thoughts on this, Matt?
Just like everybody else, kind of shocked, but not shocked. It's just actually seeing it when you see that post and you're like, wow, well, here we go. We're in for another wild ride. We've already had the UFC license change hands. And then, of course, Fanatics come in with the baseball, basketball, football. Upper Deck yesterday kept the NHL license long-term, and now we have this. So all that's left is for Star Wars to change hands. I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. But
I mean, it seems like like 2020 was like a crazy year for all kinds of stuff, obviously, with the pandemic, stuff like that. And all of a sudden 2021 says, right, hold my beer.
Yep. And if the UFC license and the cards that have been produced and released are any indication, we're in for some craziness.
What does that relate to? Does anything relate to you differently being with Beckett, Matt? Does anything relate differently to you at all? Or
the Panini sets are much larger in scale, and pricing them is a lot more difficult. The multiplier pretty much doesn't really apply that much anymore. We have to take into account the serial numbers, the rarity. I've been spending this week doing price changes on Prism and pricing more of Select and getting ready to price Chronicles. And it is just, the checklists are vast. They're like 5,000 item checklists per. Chronicles is even bigger. And it's just a lot of those parallels. And like I told you earlier, that some of those Khabib and Conor McGregor's are selling for 4 or 5 figures. That's crazy.
I've also heard that I've been on the phone most of the day today talking with distributors and talking with a bunch of people, and from my understanding, Panini's already been reaching out asking for some information on who to include in some of the requests from WWE, some licensed names that maybe haven't been included before. I provided a few that I had hoped would make it into the set. And I think that, to your point, Matt, as we get into these production, I think the UFC is a pretty good indicator of what we're going to see. I mean, football had 40 different parallels. I think that was more to mask a lot of the production elements of the set, because you have so many different configurations in retail and the 2 different hobby configurations, plus all the 4 different other ones. And then with this, it's going to probably be just retail and hobby, give or take, and maybe some other special sets. But I mean, I don't think there's going to be as many parallels, but we're going to see a jump that's much higher than what we just got with Topps Chrome release last week. So I think people should be, if you're a rainbow collector like I am, and you've based your entire collecting profile on putting together rainbows for your different targets, life's going to get a lot more complicated.
Yep.
Well, it'll force people to be more focused now on certain things. Like I think we're gonna see a lot more player collectors now, as opposed to just completists. I mean, Paul and Chuckster here. I mean, they're completists themselves, but I think those days might be
Adam,
numbered for them.
Adam, how do you think it's going to go on master sets? We're talking about the difficulty of Chrome. Like the guy I usually buy from had to open his 5th hobby case to get me my last in your house die cut. It was insane. And then I had to have them shipped separately. And this is all part of what's happened with Hot Tops over the last little while. But how do you think it's going to go? I'm waiting to see how it's going in a couple of weeks with Upper Deck. But how do you think it's going to be with the seeding on getting complete master sets of the new Panini product?
That's a great question. And I have a friend that opened 17 cases of Chrome, and he just completed, I think, his 3rd master set out of 17 cases.
Right.
So I think the challenge with Topps this year is that the insert profile changed a little bit, where instead of doing 1 insert set or 2 insert sets, they had retail exclusive and then 3 insert sets in the main product. And a lot of that changed with the amount of pre-orders that came in, because I think they were 3x what they were the previous year. The challenge with modern wrestling is everybody's a player collector. There are very few set collectors in modern wrestling. And if you look at any of the Facebook groups, any of the people who have major wrestling collections, they're usually based around very specific people or very specific types of cards. There are, in modern, like the true modern WWE, like sets released probably from 2015 on, it's very few people collecting master sets. I think Topps really finally went off the deep end and just was like, we're just going to throw everything into these rainbows instead of more of the master set. With Panini, the master set is good luck. Like, that's all I gotta say. I mean, it's tough.
It's gonna be crazy. It sounds like. Hey, Brett.
Well, some of the inserts are case hits, right? So unlike Topps, where you have an insert a pack or insert every other pack, Panini has insert sets that are case hits, like the downtown inserts in Donruss, or the color burst, the whatever. I mean, those ones in football and basketball are going for $5,000, $6,000 a piece. So all I gotta say is good luck.
I've always been able to assemble master sets from Topps product. Including this last one, but it was a lot more difficult, a lot more expensive. I'm curious to see how that's going to go. If that's going to, like you say, if it's going to be more difficult to do just based on
absolutely more difficult.
Right.
Brett, so you're like the man of positivity for me, man. So I love seeing your posts. I love seeing your tweets like that. And even though today it's like that, it was like, Heath Ledger, what a horrible choice for being being the Joker, man. There's a lot of negativity on this like that. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from your followers?
Yeah, I think just my take on the situation is, I zoomed out a little bit, and this year has obviously been a significant year of change in the hobby, starting with Collectors Universe, going, Fanatics deal. There continues to be just change throughout the hobby, and now change has impacted our favorite segment, right? Wrestling cards. And, I think it's to be expected. I put out that tweet. It wasn't a majority, it was a minority of people that were negative, and people want to spin up stuff that's happening with Panini through other licenses they have. My standpoint is always like, let's let it breathe. Let's take a step back and see what they deliver. So that's always my mentality. And for me, like I had tremendous excitement, and it wasn't necessarily directed towards like WWE Prism. While I'm excited to see that set, and I will be participating, collecting, buying. For me, it was like, Topps Chrome just got released. Everyone was going nuts. People were excited about that. And I look at what's happened just with basketball, and I'm not trying to compare basketball to wrestling cards. It's obviously dramatically different. The markets are dramatically different. But if you follow anything that's happened with basketball cards, collectors now look at Topps Chrome cards as highly collectible. People are chasing the golds. And so I think that's really cool. And having that diversity of product between different manufacturers, I think it's a really good thing for wrestling cards. So for me, it was exciting to see positive day. I think just a majority of people are excited, but then there's always going to be those individuals who don't necessarily like to adapt, because we all know how difficult change can be, especially in our hobby.
Yeah. We did a virtual con show over the weekend, which ended up being pretty successful. And I had made an offer for the 2006 Topps Chrome set, and nobody took it. And then as of this morning, I have 3 emails from people asking me if it's still available. Like, I just said, nope, it's sold. It's still sitting over here. But yeah, it's a price points. That's gonna be the number one concern people have, price points on this, our boxes. I'm assuming we're probably all in agreement that's gonna be similar to UFC probably product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you,
Pre-sale numbers are going to come out around $500. I'm going to guess a box.
Wow.
that's incredible. So for someone like Chuckster here, it's gonna hurt a little bit and trying to be a collector anymore, right?
It's going to hurt a lot. But, you know, I like Brett's comment on Twitter today, because I've been following social media a lot today over this. And he said there's a lot of haters out there before the product's even released. So we don't really know what it's going to end up selling for. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little more high end, but I'm still willing to give it a shot. I mean, I'm always going to be a collector. I've been in this for longer than I care to admit. And there's always going to be a part of me that wants to collect. So I'm not going to stop collecting just because the prices are shot up. I may modify how I collect now, and I'm probably going to get into some panini, but I might wait until, and do like what Paul does now. I might wait until somebody puts together a base set and go on eBay and just try to find the base set. I know I'm definitely not going after boxes and cases, because it's just going to be out of my reach. But I think this is also going to, if the prices do kind of skyrocket like everybody are predicting on these things, I think I'm probably going to start going back and just filling in the blanks on my old stuff instead of spending on the new stuff. Like, I mean, I've got partial parallel sets from 2015 or 2016 or whatever. I might just go back and try to finish those parallels or the few insert sets that I have. So I still have a way to collect. I'm still going to stay in the hobby. I mean, it's not going to push me out of the hobby, but it's probably going to push me out of breaking boxes anymore. That's kind of
Is there a box part? Is there going to be? I mean, I'm not familiar with all of Panini's products, so all I keep hearing is Prism all the time. So I'm not sure what the other lines are that they have. Do they have a different price range structure of all the releases? Are there cheaper end products and super high end products?
Yeah.
Like, what's a good price point for the casual wrestling fan then? Like, what would be a good release for this?
See, I think, Tony, the major issue is that wrestling fans are used to $60 and $70 boxes, and that's just, those days will be gone.
Yeah, but Chrome and Undisputed and Finest were indications already that they're okay paying $100, $125, $150 a box now.
Going.
Now, and AEW is another example, because now these boxes are being flipped for $200 a box.
If you,
people are still
if
trying
you
to
want
find
a Chrome, if you want a Chrome 2021 set master now on eBay, it's $500. 500.
I'm
Not
just talking.
200.
I'm talking box prices, just box
Yeah.
prices. So I mean,
So-
go ahead.
So they've announced that Prism is the first set, but we can expect that Select is coming, Chronicles will likely be coming too. That's their traditional sort of flagship sets that get released. I'm guessing that they have a license that includes at least two to four other products that they create specifically for the WWE brand. And then I'm guessing there's going to be one super premium product, either something like National Treasures or Eminence or something like that, only because Topps has been successful with Transcendent at $15,000 a case or whatever it is. So I think there's going to be a wide range of like expectations, because like a box of Select isn't likely going to be as much as a box of Prism, and a box of Chronicles will probably be lower than both of those. But we can expect that, $200 is probably going to be the floor on a lot of this stuff.
Brett, I have a question too. I was reading too that they're probably going to be doing some retail stuff. I'm not familiar with Panini at all. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I've never bought any Panini product at all. Will their retail stuff be like Topps blasters are and be more affordable than your boxes from the cases?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to, like any other Panini product at retail, is the ability to find it, right? And it'll be what is the demand like for it. And I think just talking about pricing and talking about other products, I think the more individuals who are deep in wrestling cards and in the community continue to talk about what's to come and share their points of view, that'll help, I think, build excitement for what's happening. I've noticed just through my following, the more I've talked about wrestling cards, the more questions I get. And so I think my mindset is just continue that conversation, because like, if you're talking, like Adam said, if you're talking about other products and that might be possible, like that's where my head went. And I think in order for Panini to give us some really cool stuff, like I think about Flawless, like I think about what WWE Flawless would be like. And people love match worn or really authentic pieces, and I think that's what the Flawless product delivers. We're gonna need a big bump out of the gates. We're gonna need people buying cases and breaking them and promoting those cards through their channels. And like that might not be something new to wrestling card collectors, but it's something that's really helped push and elevate the hobby forward. So I think while from an individual perspective, it might cost more out of pocket to go buy a hobby box. I think if you're in wrestling cards right now, or if you've been in wrestling cards for 10 years and you've got badass wrestling cards right now, like you should feel really good, even though the price might be expensive relative to what it has been.
Absolutely.
So that's how I'm really looking at it. And so I'm trying to talk about it more because I want to see WWE Flawless. I want Panini to have confidence and invest more in that line. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But Chuck, I think it just comes down to like being able to find it at retail, which I think across the board, whatever sport you're collecting, has been a challenge.
Yeah.
You think this is going to bring in, the Panini announcement is going to bring in other collectors who've never collected wrestling cards before?
I think it has to. And because I think about the entry point of cards and the re-entry point, and a lot of it's been through breaking, and people associate breaking with Prism. And if WWE's launching with Prism, Panini's launching with Prism, I think that's going to catch eyeballs. And just, I think UFC is a good parallel to look at what UFC cards are doing right now. And there's more people talking about UFC cards this year than probably ever before. So I'm anticipating the same for wrestling cards.
Kind of the same discussion with the Upper Deck product that's coming out too. We've been talking about how that's going to bring new people into the hobby. So I suspect there may be parallels there as well.
I think it's kind of a scale thing, right? Because you know, AEW product, probably a niche product similar to what Topps was releasing, and a company like Upper Deck that is, in all honesty, probably struggled to maintain the brand awareness that they've had in previous years. I think with kind of to Brett's point, I mean, Brett hit everything on absolutely on the head. Like he nailed it. Like there is absolutely nothing that he said that was incorrect, in my opinion. And I think that as long as we bring the consciousness forward with wrestling cards, eyes will follow. And I put out a graphic on Twitter earlier today where I was like, it was like a small circle was like the number of people that would buy wrestling cards, the number of people that will buy Prism cards, and in between is kind of that mix.
And you said the small circle could even be smaller.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you're looking at Prism fans driving a huge interest in this product, just huge interest, just because it has the Prism brand name on it. And I think that alone is going to bring a ton of eyes that will, to Brett's point, float every other boat, because they're going to see, oh my God, this, you know, Roman Reigns card is $2,000. I wonder if there's cheaper versions that I could buy. And then all of a sudden, all the cheaper versions start going up because people want alternatives.
It's like being a band, and putting out your hit single first, so.
Yeah, and it's too, it's like even people who don't watch the modern product, and I don't know the licensing and agreements, but you'd have to think that Panini at some level is trying to make sure they get the Rock in the set, right? So look at what the Rock's cards are doing right now. Fully transparent. I'm a Rock collector. I'm buying Rock cards exactly. I'm spending a lot of money right now, but Panini Prism Rock Gold, that hits. Huge. I mean, it's beyond anything that has ever happened in wrestling cards. If that card is out there, that's the chase. So that's what, as I'm thinking about it, stuff like that gets me really excited.
To that point, Brett, Panini's known for getting high top level talent to sign for them. Kobe Bryant, for example. Who's to say that they may not be able, or who's to say they won't be able to get The Rock to actually sign a product at some time?
It was close a couple of times. It was close a couple of times with Topps. There's actually a set of unsigned printing plates on eBay, which somebody got a hold of and probably wasn't supposed to. But there's been deals that are close with Topps before. It's just scheduling and cost. Panini, I think, absolutely has to aim high, to Matt's point. Absolutely. I'm hoping we see our first Batista card in a while. I hope we see our first Sable card in a while. Like, all of those things, I hope Panini goes headfirst into. But I think the looming 2026 uncertainty is going to maybe temper their investment a little bit. That's just my speculation. But I think that, man, they really need to invest and invest big, because they can make a splash with, what, 1 billion social media followers for WWE. Like, utilize that seriously.
Yeah. So, guys, and the question remains now with Topps. What happens to the remaining inventory of what they have? What happens to these releases that were supposed to be crammed in? Because I'm being told that Topps has every intention to cram out as much of what they planned on releasing as possible.
You would think they would.
Correct.
I mean, the bigger question is there going to be a Topps years from now? I mean, they have some of their licenses like GPK that they own, but now they've lost everything, right? So everything that was slated to come out and that's in production is going to hit. But then,
I mean, are we going to see a fire sale or something? I mean, what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of backdoor deals.
There's going to be a sticker dump coming. There's one coming. Yeah. We saw striking signatures.
To your point, Tony, you said some of the chrome has actually gotten more expensive. So there might be some collectors out there, or some people that try and snag whatever's left of Topps while they can.
Yeah, my
viewpoint is at the end of the Fleer era too. When it was announced that Fleer was going under, you remember how we all went flying to get as much of that stuff as we could at the time. And we thought it was going to be the end of wrestling cards when Topps took over. And it was different, but we survived, and they've had the business for a long time, and we're all still here. So, you know,
I did well in that Fleer era. It's like that. I was one of those 4 or 5 guys that bought out the remaining inventory that Fleer had.
Brett's point about this attitude about, you know, it's doom and gloom because of maybe what might have happened in Panini releases in the past. You know, Topps has had the business for a long time. And in 2015, 2016, when they started stretching out then and now as part of the base product, and they had, you know, like 100 people signed per, and then the living set, we know what's gone on with that. You know, there's just been a lot of indicators that Topps, I don't want to say they've lost interest, but you know the saying, a change is as good as a rest. You know, new vitality, a new way of approaching things. So I'm very optimistic about this. When I heard the news,
is there a possibility that, you know, that maybe something like a Fanatics ends up buying the name Topps?
Possibly.
I mean, otherwise you're having
they could buy Panini.
You're having
buy whatever they want.
Exactly.
You're having a company dip its toes into an industry that they've never had any experience with trading cards. So creating new new names that become like household names to us collectors is going to be difficult. So why not buy someone like Topps and have the heritage name, the Chrome name,
production facilities, no more licenses, right?
Well, I think you're going to see some news coming pretty quickly down that. I can't say anything right now because I have some knowledge that I can't share.
Breaking news.
But there's Topps is a brand name that's been around for almost a century, right? Or since 1950s, right? So we're talking about 70 years here. And I don't think that they're going away. Like, I don't think that, you know, whoever takes them over, whoever buys them out, or if they keep producing cards, I don't think Topps is going anywhere. But I think the intellectual property that they own is some of the best in the hobby. Like the Chrome and Bowman names alone are worth, you know, their weight in gold. So we'll have to see. But
yeah, and I think that this, like I said, with the Chrome, I think people are going to start clamoring for the old Chrome stuff now, big time. I don't care what year it was.
They already are.
Yeah, they already are. I mean, you saw, you posted, someone's already selling an 8-box case for like way above. I mean, it's crazy what people are already reacting to it already. And I'm sitting over like someone here, I'm looking at right now next to me, I've got, there's Heritage 1 Chrome, there's Heritage 2 Chrome. I got a whole bunch of singles on, and that's going to be some gold, I think, right now.
Yeah, Chrome's always been just a thing all to itself, but all their other stuff, like their flagship releases and their then, now, and forever sets, those things were put out so en masse that there's just, I don't see any value in those. They're just going to be floating around kind of like the impels are, you know, forever and ever.
And Finest. I mean, it's a one and done on Finest. So, I mean,
No,
a lot of
Finest is
the-
this year. They're doing Finest this year.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So if they do, they'll
A lot
they'll
of,
put it
a
out.
lot of
So-
those insert sets as well from those series, the 2015, 16, 17s. They just didn't have any flair to them. You know, they Topps kind of lost their stride along the way. There's no doubt about it. So it's going to be interesting to have fresh blood and see what the new product. I mean, we know Panini stuff looks good. It's not a matter, you know, the artwork determines what the cards look like, but it's like we alluded to earlier. How is the stuff getting to resellers? How's it getting to market? What's the price points going to be? What are we paying for boxes? What are guys like me and Chuck having to do to get it on the secondary market, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be good.
Hey,
On
Matt,
the-
Topps
on the-
had
I was going to ask Matt here quick. In this whole situation, who loses? Who loses in this?
Topps.
Outside
Yeah,
of
I mean,
Topps, from a collector
And I
standpoint,
think any diehard Topps collector kind of loses because they want to still see, like you said, they want to see Finest, they want to see Chrome, they want to see Undisputed as a popular brand. They want to be able to collect that same old. You're always going to have traditionalists, but then you're going to have people who want to see the new stuff like we've covered. We want to see the possibility of all those properties they own: Donruss, Score, Crown Royale, Absolute, all those properties Panini has. We'd love to see some great of the top tier WWE talent on those properties. So it's just kind of a 50-50 thing. Some win, some lose.
That's the way it always
We're
is.
going to win. Beckett's going to
Well,
win.
what does Panini do different than Topps? Like I said, I'm just so new to Panini. What are some features they have in their sets that Topps
Stickers,
never
yeah.
covered in their sets?
So I think there's going to be two major changes that people are going to probably be very happy about, and there's two major changes I think people are going to flip. And one of the good things are they have much more relic focused product lines that are available. Topps almost drove completely the opposite direction away from relic content because WWE has been so notoriously difficult to get those relics. The fully loaded set was the first time I think in 10 years that we've had a relic focused WWE product. Panini has immaculate and flawless and all the things that Brett was mentioning. Like they have much more relic focused content. Hopefully that means that they've built that into the license therefore, but I think they also have a huge following, which is something that we've talked about a little bit. The things I think are bad is that since 2019 and the revamp of the top sort of team that made these products and the reinvigoration of their license that they re-upped in 2018, they've switched almost entirely to on-card autographs, almost entirely. I think there's just a few sets that have been sticker. They've had set elements that have had stickers, but the majority of the autographs signed in Topps WWE products are on-card. I think that will change for Panini drastically. And then I also think that some of the sets that Panini builds are amalgamation sets, right? They're like Chronicles, where there's a bunch of stuff crammed into a single product, and that's going to be a challenge for a lot of set collectors like yourself who has built their entire collecting sort of experience around sets. I don't think that that's going to be a good thing for you, unfortunately.
I
think
think
there's also the possibility for exclusives, like does Panini still do the Happy Father's Day promos and exclusives?
Yes.
That they do? The National, we'll probably see some exclusive
Huge,
content
yeah.
at the National. So that's going to be a real big advantage too.
Yeah, good point. I didn't think about that.
I agree with what Adam was saying. The one thing I'll just say for anyone like Chuck, you're unfamiliar with Panini product, I agree, like Prism, historically, all sticker autos. But some of the other products that Panini releases, they're on card. Like I think about like Contenders on card and Flawless on card. So I think for people who are just coming in collecting Panini cards for the first time and they see the sticker auto on Prism, like I wouldn't hold out hope that it's not going to be a part of other cards. So that's just one thing that Adam, I wanted to call out based on what you said, but what you said I think is on point.
it's okay. Let's shift over a little bit over to the digital side, which I know is big for Adam here. So like that.
Used to be.
Obviously that goes away now.
Yeah. Well, to a degree, I think Panini will bring in a brand of their own digital content. So they have Dunk and they have their Blitz, the football products for their digital side. I think there will be a WWE component. Absolutely. Whether it'll happen right off the bat, I'm not sure. They haven't necessarily released one for UFC yet, but I think it's coming. There'll be NFT based collectibles, I would have a feeling, unless WWE wants to do their own stuff like they did with The Undertaker over WrestleMania. So I think that there's a lot of digital opportunity, but if you are a Topps digital collector, this next few years is going to be a barren wasteland of hellscape nightmares. Like, yeah, have fun.
So am I going to log in on January 1st and my Topps app's going to go, no more? I mean, what's going to happen to
It goes to so there's a graveyard app that I call it the graveyard app. I don't know what it's actually called, their archive or whatever, where all of the licenses that they've lost, that's Huddle, that's UFC, that's, all the ones that have the apps have been discontinued. They've gone to this archive app, which I call the graveyard. And that's where they sit, where you can still trade them. You can still display them. The images are there, but there is no new content that will be generated.
So no new content. So still, like, anybody who's invested any money or collected for a long period of time, they can still enjoy their collection. They
Correct.
can still trade it. And there's still guys on eBay selling it.
Yeah.
So that stuff can still happen.
It can, just in a much contained sort of way. It's really weird. I don't really have much experience with it because I got out of all of that stuff before the apps crashed. So
I'm asking because I want to sell all my stuff, damn it.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think you're behind the curve in that, or unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I am too. So yeah, it's crazy. Now, away from digital, back to actual stuff. Was it midnight? What are they going to do with all the living set stuff now? This is going to, hey, Chuckster, you don't have to renew it. You don't have to worry about renewing your stuff. It's going to be canceled for you.
It wasn't going to happen anyway.
It's now the dead set.
It is, yeah.
I mean,
the Topps website still, they still have the archives for all that stuff they did, like the living and the Topps Now and stuff like that, because they have an archives page there now. I wonder if that goes away.
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah.
But
One of the things that I think, Matt,
even as recently as the last few releases, did you see some of these cuts on these things? Like, they've just been really screwing the pooch on the release. So I'm not at all going to be lamenting the end of Topps living set. I mean, bless you, Chuck, for looking after it for us. But it's, I'm looking at these pictures that people are posting of some of the way these things are centered and cut, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a custom cut product for what, $10, $8, whatever it is, and this is the care that's going into it. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they crank them out to the end of the year and then that's that. But
do you think it's just going to be a weekly thing still, or like dump it at the end of the year? Like, hey, we got this one, we got 25
They're
cars.
going up to 2 a day.
2 a day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But I think one of the things that we're going to miss sorely are the Topps Now cards. So like,
yes,
these are gone. They will be gone. Panini has an instant version of it, but these things I think were awesome. A lot of people collected them. They had signed versions of some of the ones that are out there. The loss there is big. I'm sad that those are going away.
I'm sure everybody who collects at this point right now is going to have, I think everybody who collects is going to have a small aspect of what they're going to miss and what.
Yeah.
And then
I love the Topps Now program. That was great. I have every set from when they started in 2016. I have a good many mats. I didn't get very many autographs, but because I backed off on them, but I stayed with the base set. I have every one of
these are just really cool cards, and like,
surprise, a Becky Lynch card.
Yeah, this is the 101 from SummerSlam, and you can see, like, it's already here. Like, they do it so fast. Like, the cards are just gorgeous. Like, it's sad that those are going away.
Would you not anticipate Panini having a similar program as successful as these were?
I think there's potential there. I think there's definitely potential there. With all the properties that Panini owns, they could infuse that into the Panini Instant program somehow.
Right.
It's Panini. So, I mean, I think that there's great potential there. Will people like them as much as Topps Now? Maybe, maybe not. Who's to say? But I will say the one thing about the living sets, I would keep an eye on them, especially the low numbers, because I just did price changes on all the Star Wars living stuff, and some of those are up into a few $100s a piece.
Wow.
So, do you think people are going to go back now? Like people like myself who didn't collect any of the living set because I just couldn't. It's so easy for me to go right back into the collecting world like that. So that's why I'm a player collector, and that's it now. But it'd be kind of a cool thing to collect. Now it's like, I'm so tempted to go back and try and buy up all the ones that are, been released, because sometimes you can find good deals on them. Is that going to go up?
Yeah, I think that I think, yeah, definitely the top tier talent, the Roman Reigns, the Cenas, the Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, the legends. Ultimate Warrior just had one. They had a pairing this week with Ultimate Warrior and
Great
Papa
pairing.
Shango. If anybody remembers that, right?
Yeah.
So the legends, I think, will do well too, and even some of the lower numbered people that might be moderately, popular could do well. I saw that in, I think, one of the biggest sellers in the Star Wars was General Grievous, and I think I priced him at about $200 to $400 in this last for the Star Wars deck. So
Matt,
yeah.
have you seen any spikes in the wrestling stuff though in the last, say, 2-3 months? 'Cause it seems
It's always
to be around the same price from what I can see.
not as much as in UFC. UFC's been pretty much, and as usual with wrestling, it's all about the ladies. Shotzi
Yeah, of course.
Blackheart, Dakota Kai, Tay Conti's old stuff, Alexa Bliss, of course, Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
It's usually all about the ladies, with some very
Definitely.
rare exceptions.
Interesting. Hey,
What's-
how's a Sasha Banks doing from Star Wars?
I was
How's that
just
one?
going to ask that ratio of Star Wars 4-1.
The only
Now
one I
that
ever
she
bought.
Now that she's not in the Mandalorian season 3, I'm not sure. I haven't checked her stuff in a while, but I mean, she's still as popular as she's ever been, so she's probably doing fairly well.
Okay, good. Because my only one I ever bought was a big pack full. I'll give it a try. I do that one, but I won't do the actual WWE living set.
One of the things I think that should be brought up in this conversation, just from like things I might be missing and didn't know I would be missing it from Topps until recently, is just inserts. I think one of the downfalls or some negativity I think Panini gets is just lack of innovation and creativity with their insert sets. And when I'm drawn to 2021 Topps Chrome, more or less based on it's a great product, I think. But the 5 Timers Club inserts, like one of my favorite wrestling card inserts maybe ever. Like they look
They're
like
amazing.
They're amazing. They've captured first, it's a badass set and the purpose behind it, but then they've really put they look like Mona Lisa to me.
Except they shafted William Regal though.
the hardcore, yes. There's Banks. I've actually got I've got a few.
I had that same exact card.
What's cool about those are the numbers, because you got 25 of them in your house, you got 20 of the 5 timers, and that's another thing that we've seen is like larger counts of the actual insert cards, which forces people to go over more boxes and packs to get them.
Yeah, so like here's a gold rock, and it's hard to even translate, but these are just like beautiful cards. It's beautiful. So I saw this and I was like really excited about the future of Topps and inserts, and now I'm not so sure, but I'm hopeful that there's some creativity with Panini to invest in some awesome inserts, because I think inserts get the hobby going. And I don't know, that was just one thing that came top of mind to me on the heels of this badass insert coming out.
I feel like Brett and I share a brain, like seriously.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, they knocked it out of the ballpark with this last release. With even the in your house ones are just beautiful. I just love that die cut. It's just so cool. And those 5 timers.
Try getting it into a top loader, huh?
Well,
yes, exactly.
Oh my God,
it's impossible.
I put it into
so
penny,
bad.
I put it in a penny sleeve upside down, then slides in easy into top loader.
There you go.
There you go.
Somebody in the chat just asked how we felt about the design of the Panini compared to the Topps cards.
Thank God Chuckster's monitoring the comments. I forgot all about that.
Well, remember, guys, this isn't the first Panini wrestling card set.
No.
And I can vouch for the first one that they did back in the mid 90s. They did a heck of a job. So they know what they're doing when it comes to wrestling cards.
Yeah.
Well, 30 years ago, they knew what they were doing.
This is
and they
true.
kept themselves up with stickers. So let's see how they do.
What do you guys have to say to people who are just kind of being down on this and being completely negative, just because of change? It's all about change, right? Just about change.
Give it a chance. I mean, it's too early for us to say. I mean, we got some pretty big wrestling card brains here, and we're all saying, hey, let's see what it's going to be, because one never knows. It could be awesome, right?
I mean, it's affecting all of us in different ways, but for me, I don't collect any, unless they had a Kurt Angle card in it that I'm interested in.
There will be.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be, and I'll have to go after it.
40 of them, yeah.
But To me, it doesn't really affect me that much. I'm not invested in that much, maybe for
But don't
fun.
forget, Tony, we're dealing with Panini and Upper Deck now for the foreseeable future. So
Yep.
there's going to be Kurt Angle in the Panini product,
Yep.
This is who we're doing business with for the next little while.
Well, you hope so. You hope there's going to be somebody, Kurt Angle in there, but.
I think if you go back to, so Panini really changed their design outlook in 2015. And I think you go back to 2014, things were like, let's not go there. But 2015 and onwards, I think they made a conscious investment in their design team, hiring some of the people that they have. And I've met them in person, and they're good guys. I think the challenge is exactly what was said, is that it's a change. And Panini's Prism product is, consistently a great looking product. National Treasures, consistently a good looking product. Flawless, consistently a good looking product. But those are the top money brands for them as a whole. Curious what happens when it's a niche license within that. Post 2026, things could change. But I think, if they can invest the same design talent that they have in those sets, or even just port the designs across their sports, then there's no reason to believe that these cards won't be great looking.
How long is this license for? Does anybody know? I know it's multi-year, but do we know how long?
I don't think so.
No, it hasn't been released. Even the tops, we knew that was the end of the year, but they weren't specific on when the actual deadline was. That's why
Tops usually re-sign 3 years at a time. I'm guessing this is probably 3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so as well.
Somebody asked too if there's going to be some Panini WWE NFT crypto chain cards.
Most likely.
Likely.
And,
Which piques my interest, because I bought into the Undertaker one, but I did not buy into the John Cena one, which was just abysmal.
That's the only roadblock. Yeah, if WWE has their own plans, that they may prevent that from happening. I've heard from artists, whether it's individual licensors or other people, WWE is where creativity goes to die. Like, they are very protective of their brand. Like, it's like the Shield. It's like the NFL Shield. Like, they protect their brand at all costs. So it's curious whether or not they'll be able to get it done. I have to believe that it's in the plans, if not sure thing.
This is going to be a talk for a while, I think.
Yeah,
it really is, until we actually get some physical product, or even before then we start getting a solicitation for the actual upcoming product. It's going to be just talk like AEW stuff has been up until we started getting some promos and the national.
Are there actual their hobby boxes? Are they lower pack runs like AEW is now, instead of the 24 pack like Topps used to be?
Prism is usually jumbo packs, but we haven't gotten a preview of the solicitation yet, so we're not sure.
I don't know. Adam, when do you think this all started? When the Fanatics MLB announcement happened?
No, I think it was.
This in the works prior to that? Because I'm curious about the timing of it all. How it overlaps.
The Fanatics. So there's a difference. So somebody asked this question to me earlier today. So there's a difference between the way Fanatics went down and the way that this went down.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Fanatics was done outside of the hobby bubble, right? So like, if you think of all the people that work for the different peripheral industry people, they're all talk to each other. Everybody talks to everybody, and most of them have pretty loose lips. Fanatics was done completely outside of that bubble. So Fanatics was actually likely in motion for months and months and months and months and months. This was also in motion for months and months and months and months, completely separate. I don't think anybody expected Fanatics to come in the way that they did until they did. There were probably a few people around the top that had an inkling, but when it comes to the lower level hobby people that all talk to each other, it seemed to be pretty much a surprise. I know in New York it was a surprise for sure.
This wasn't an immediate reaction where everyone kicked into high gear
no.
just because of what was going on.
The reason that this was done, I'm guessing, and Brett, you can probably comment on this as well. The reason that this was done is solely because of The Rock, Hogan, Flair, all of that huge numbers that have been done for the vintage. I'm guessing Panini saw huge dollar signs in their eyes when they thought about bringing those people back and having them get involved in modern cards. I'm almost 100% sure that that's what drove this, not as a reaction to the Fanatics thing, because that was completely out of left field.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I would speculate on the same thing. And I'd also say, and I mentioned this earlier, is that, the 82, 83 All-Stars and the attention that set has got over the last few years has driven, a lot of excitement around, wow, wrestling cards can be a collectible thing where the value goes up in time. Again, I'll say this to anyone out there who's watching the stream, who's collected wrestling cards for years. The wrestling cards that you have, i.e. WWE Topps Chrome, maybe think about 2014, think about some of the rare parallels. Like, those cards are going to be the vintage wrestling cards as this Panini Prism license continues to expand. So I think it's good, and just like I've seen a couple people say it, and is just hold firm. Adam, I think it might have been you and Zan might have said it too. It's just like, hold on to what you got. Like, don't feel like you have to sell it. Like, especially if it's short print, scarce stuff, like, don't sell that stuff right now if you don't 100%. Have to.
Yep.
Because that's I don't give investment advice ever really, but that's my investment advice I'll give here for the rest.
It's the first thing I thought of when I started getting emails from a set that wouldn't sell over the weekend in a little virtual con thing. All of a sudden, 3 separate emails from people who weren't even part of it. They just saw the replay of it and then go, I want that. I want that. I'm like, I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to sit on it for a while.
Yeah, Brett's 100% correct. I think there's no way that they're going to drop like below 10% of where they are right now. So why sell now? Like, at most they're going to drop maybe 5-10%, and that's in the worst case scenario, like viewership tanks below, whatever. But once we get to this new era of Panini starting around WrestleMania next year, if you can stand to hold them for 6 to 12 months, why not? I mean, they can only go up.
One more point on this that I want to say is, like, and you're already seeing this with the product. You've got AEW, right? They're just the excitement and momentum around Upper Deck and the license. Even in the past couple of weeks, as a wrestling degenerate, I've noticed WWE's product improving. I think competition between the two companies is really good, and competition between Panini and Upper Deck is a really good thing. So that's something that Topps didn't really have any competition on the wrestling card side. So I'm excited about that competition because it can only lead to better product for end consumers like us.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Matt, so you going in on this or what? You going to go in on Panini stuff?
Definitely the Alexa Bliss stuff. Being a Columbus guy and coming from Columbus the way she is, I still collect a lot of Ohio State stuff. So most of my collecting goes with the Ohio State Buckeyes stuff. But here and there, I collect certain things in wrestling, mostly Alexa Bliss. But I'll definitely be checking that. I'll probably do rainbows of her. But yeah, I'll probably check out some select autographs too.
Hey, Matt, I have a question for you. And I brought this up on Twitter. There's 2 groups of people that I think are historically undervalued in wrestling. One of them is the male champions, and the other is minorities. Now, as you've seen in priced UFC and gone through some of the changes that have gone through with that and other sort of sets that Panini has launched, did you see the collecting trends within those sets continue? So like the people that were valuable in the Topps UFC sets are valuable in the Prism UFC sets? Or is there going to be a potential to shift away from, hey, you're hot, you're going to be valuable, or hey, you're white and not a minority, you're going to be valuable or more valuable than the minorities? I was really hoping that would switch a little bit.
Most of the hot fighters, the top selling fighters, are minorities. You have Israel Adesanya, he's one of the hottest out there. Francis Ngannou, Kamaru Usman, he's another one. Rose Namajunas, Valentina Shevchenko, Khabib Nurmagomedov, anybody who's a minority or international fighter. Conor McGregor, he's not really a minority per se, but he's Irish. So I mean, I really can't think of that many American fighters that are as popular as those guys. So
is it a talent level thing, or is it a
it's talent level. Shevchenko, I think she's a champion right now. Namajunas is a champion. But there's also, McGregor, he's lost his last 3 fights. So he's kind of on the downturn in his career, but he's never been more popular. He's always been popular though, from Topps to Panini. And a lot of those other people were coming on during the pandemic with the final run of Topps and UFC into Panini. Some of them have dropped off, some of them haven't. Garbrandt, he's still a pretty solid seller. Colby Covington, that might be the one that has kind of come on from Topps to Panini. He's kind of risen in popularity and marketability.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because you see like somebody like, let's use Big E as an example. Big E is the current champions. Cards are worth absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston, hugely popular, probably the biggest run in WWE history leading up to WrestleMania 35. Cards are worth nothing. Like, you know, Naomi, again, you know, on the female side, minority wrestler, cards are worth basically nothing. Like, it's unfortunate because I think the target market is 35 to 50 white males, you know, the key demo that AEW always talks about. But, you know, I'm curious, like, because you're going to have all of these new eyes who are just basically Prism collectors from other brands and other sports saying, hey, okay, I'm going to come in. I want to collect Hogan, Flair, all the main guys. Who are the current guys that I should collect? Liv Morgan's not on TV. Like, you know, all of those types of wrestlers are not on TV, but they're extremely valuable because of their looks. So I'm curious, because these new eyes are coming in, do you foresee a shift in value for people like Roman Reigns or people like Big E, who are the forefront of the TV product right now?
It's going to be interesting, I think, because also you have the AEW factor with Upper Deck. You have a lot of wrestlers who are going to have mainstream cards that have never had. MJF, for example. Adam Page. I mean, there's a lot of talent in AEW. Orange Cassidy, people that are really popular in AEW that haven't had cards, haven't had autographs. Whereas in Panini, you got people who've had autographs for 10 years running now and have had a lot of cards for running now. I'm really looking forward to see what unfolds with this. Honestly,
Me too.
I love Topps. I've been collecting Star Wars cards since I was like 3 years old, on and off. I used to collect baseball cards hardcore, hockey when Topps had a hockey license. So I'm bummed about Topps not having that license, but I'm eager to see all the new stuff that's going to be coming out, the fresh designs, the fresh sets that are coming out. I'm hoping for a gala set. I think that'd be really interesting to see a WWE gala set with all the NXT guys with a serial number to 8, like the rookies in football and basketball.
Here's an interesting question from our chat people. Caleb in the chats are asking if they think we could see a Topps GCW or other indie sets now that they've lost that. You know, I think that's going to happen.
Not
there you
likely.
go. There's an answer for you.
I will say this about the Topps licenses. They've picked up a couple of Japanese licenses in baseball. I think it'd be great to see a New Japan wrestling set, but
that would, I think that's
that's
a good prediction. Good prediction,
I love it.
We haven't had that product in some time. It's been Bushiroad, but we haven't had like dedicated New Japan in some years now, right?
Yeah.
They've had Stardom sets with the True Heart
With the
stuff,
females.
which has sold tremendously well. Not surprising.
Yeah, the female wrestlers, the guy wrestlers, there hasn't been.
Yeah,
like,
NJPW set would go over huge. I think it'd be as big of a license as AEW in a lot of ways because of the history of that product and that federation. Even if you could include some of the All Japan stuff in there too, like just a Japanese
crossover set at some point where we see New Japan the way they've done with Impact. Like we've never seen it happen in the cards where somehow we can get New Japan involved. Would be it AEW.
That's a licensing. That's a licensing
problem.
But now with Panini, that may, or with Topps, or potentially, it could happen. Remember, Panini is an international company with 150 locations around the world, so they're well equipped to handle the license. Obviously, it's not WWE.
I think you're right.
Necessarily,
I think you're right.
Making a step down. They're a very capable manufacturer, so it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold.
Yeah, I could definitely see Panini jumping on that stuff if Topps doesn't, or if Upper Deck doesn't. But I think the cross federation branding is going to be tough with the licensing the way it is.
This isn't the 70s or 80s when you can just put that in a publication,
right? Exactly.
And your cards like that.
Those Japanese sets had everybody.
Yeah, and in Japan, it's totally
Wrestling
BBM.
All-Stars,
BBM was a whole different, a whole different beast. So, but so we have exciting times coming up, guys, and I don't know what else we could expect. It's just it is what it is right now, and I'm actually excited about it. What pains me as a checklist organizer and someone who has it, it's going to be a real pain in my ass to try to get people to try and fill in all these holes. But I welcome the challenge. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a cool thing. And
Hey, you got good staff.
we got a great staff, man. Got the best in the world. But I got nothing else. Anybody else got anything else about this?
Let's
No,
just
we
let's just see I'm pumping the flawless. I want to see the flawless, and I want to see Vincent Kennedy McMahon on
Nice.
a flawless card. Give me some sort of patch from one of his crazy suits with "No chance in hell" inscribed on the underneath the auto.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
Didn't somebody find one of his suit jackets at Goodwill or something like that?
Yes.
I
That'd be
think I
fun.
saw that.
There you go. Sell it to
Get
him.
that guy. Get that. Go to that guy. Get his jacket.
There you
I
go.
think today's a very historic day in the hobby, and I think it's cool that the 6 of us got together and had this chat. You know, it would have been cool to see, like I say, back in the day when the FLIR license disappeared. You know, it's just interesting that you got all these minds in the hobby chatting about that and sharing information. And I think that we're going to have a lot more people jump on board, not only with Panini, but with Upper Deck as well. I'm excited.
With wrestling as a whole, I think wrestling
Yeah.
Trading cards as a whole, I
Yeah.
think it's going to bring eyes.
I mean,
on
for
the
me,
hobby
honestly, guys,
itself.
it can't get worse. After what I just went through with this latest 2020 or 2021 Corona put together, and being, you know, like I bought every Topps release for wrestling that they've ever put out, save for their online stuff, you know. So I'm quite ready to shake it up.
Yeah, I need to see something new because Topps is getting
Yeah.
stale. Like
No
a
doubt
couple of
about
you said, the last couple of releases, they've actually tried to beef things up again, but they were getting stale for so many years.
And we've been talking about this, Chuck and I, for long before this, Chuck, like going back several years now, when you started sending me the Topps now, we'd often be bitching about what Topps has done. And, you know, it's
But
like,
you
that's
hear a
what
lot
happens
about,
when
you
there's a
know,
monopoly.
Topps gets a bad rap for a lot of customer service issues. And I hear it's the #1 complaint about Panini too, customer service issues.
I mean, it's just generally, I mean, like that's just hobby stuff. I mean, I remember Upper Deck redemptions back in 2009. Oh my God. Like if you thought people were upset now, like go back to 2009. If there was a Twitter, like it would be Upper Deck problems all over the place. I think
somebody tweeted that about going, oh, I guess that means I'm never getting my redemption from 17 years ago or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah. And Chuck, I think you've brought up a really good point. I mean, like if we can survive 2019 Topps wrestling, like we can survive this.
Yeah,
Like, okay.
absolutely.
Like 2019, I think was the worst year of Topps wrestling that existed, followed by, I think, one of the best years in 2020, even though it all came within like a 5-month period.
Yeah,
So
I was ready
think,
to jump off at the end of 2019, and then the pandemic hit,
God,
and
it was
everything
brutal.
quadrupled in value, so I couldn't go anywhere.
Oh God, the Money in the Bank product, the Raw and SmackDown sets. I mean, those were
Terrible.
just awful. And I think to see them bounce back in 2020 and now again starting to deliver in 2021, like I think that this is going to be a really stellar close for Topps, the way that they did in football. You remember Definitive Collection released 2015 as they were losing the license in football. And Definitive was probably one of the best Topps football sets that was ever released. And I hope that as we look forward to Fully Loaded, as we look forward to Finest and some of these other ones, like I think we're going to have a pretty amazing close to this license. Now, feeding into next year when Panini takes over and you see, you know, some of the sets that have become collector favorites over the last 2 years, like, listen, I'm with Brett on that. I think we've got to let it play out. I'm curious though. Like Matt said, like I think that there's a lot of uncertainty in the way things are going to unfold, but I think overall we have a roadmap because they've done this recently with other brands, and I'm curious if they stick to that or go a different direction. Because if they go a different direction, I think we could hopefully see some pretty innovative stuff. If they stick to their plan, I think we still get a pretty awesome sort of introduction to WWE and Panini, which is somebody coming from me who has had nothing but problems with Panini since 2007. So I mean, like, coming from me, like as somebody who is banned from pretty much every Panini website there is, like, you know, for me to say good things about Panini like this and be excited about it, that should say something.
Well, there you have that. That's a good endorsement for as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
I'm looking
it's not
forward to it.
There's one aspect of this we haven't discussed either, and that's the grading aspect of it. I know since the license has changed with Panini, we are just swamped with UFC graded material. And you know, I see them pop up every once in a while, and the sales are just astronomical, especially with people like Khabib. I think the most expensive sale I saw with a Khabib was like 24,000 for one of his one of his parallel autographs. I think it might have been a 1-of-1, but it was
Wasn't
up there.
McGregor at 27K too?
I think so. Yes, I think that was, yeah. I mean, and those are the top 2 guys. So who's to say if they get those real short numbered rock parallels graded BGS 9.5 or Gem Mint 10 or who knows?
Well, not even that. Like, imagine what like a 101 Becky Lynch auto would go for then. Probably.
Don't start. Don't
Yeah.
start. Just don't start.
Don't torture the poor guy.
Bite your tongue.
Yeah, but it could help with the guys who kind of just don't seem to command a lot of big money. We're starting to see a little bit, some Roman Reigns refractors are going for some good money. But you don't see, like Adam pointed out, Big E doesn't get respect or any love, and he should. I think as a champion, you should get respect like that. And it should translate into your collectibles too. So maybe the values of those kind of guys will go up because there's going to be some short print 101s of Big E kind of thing,
Well, and this could also be an avenue for one of the things that we've seen in the last year and a half is the rookie cards of wrestlers that are graded. John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, Chris Jericho, you name it.
Alexa Bliss.
Really high grades. Yeah, Alexa Bliss. They're really high grades. They're going to command that premium. And that might happen with guys like Kofi and Big E and Seth Rollins and Finn Balor and all kinds of
Rollins and Balor. Yeah, good call on that. Yeah, for sure.
But still not to the level of Alexa Bliss, unfortunately. That's just that's just something special that's happened within the hobby.
Yeah, I saw her Chrome autograph go for like $1,500, and I'm just like, my jaw just dropped. Like I was like, how did that get to be a $1,500 card?
I was prepping stuff for my next chat with Tony, and it's always the Flair and the Hogan All-Star, and then Alexa Bliss. So it's quite remarkable.
Featured very heavily in the last two European releases. The Slam Attacks 2021 and the one that just dropped today, Slam Attacks Chrome.
That's right. Just hit today.
So I'm gonna be checking those out too.
I just can't get into those cards. I think it looks like Lisa Frank Trapper Keepers. I can't do it. Like I know people are like, oh, it's a different target market and this and that, but man, I saw the way that some of those are cards. Oh God, I can't.
The autograph cards in the last Slam Attacks have been going pretty high, like the Trish Stratus is going for $200, and I know that this particular Chrome set, there's I think 40 autograph signers, including Reigns, Triple H, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss,
Hogan, Cena.
So yeah, there's a lot of really good autograph signers. So this European product of theirs looks like it's probably going to be their best.
They're going.
I don't think we've received confirmation that Topps is going to be out of wrestling in UK either. I think it's a pretty likely scenario that they are, but because they're basically run as two different companies, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out from an international perspective.
Yeah.
Interesting. I forgot about the Slam Attacks and stuff like that.
But I suspect the WWE license is exclusive with Panini regardless. So if
I would agree.
The way Topps is set up, they'll work around that because it's not going to be a split kind of deal.
Any closing thoughts, Brett?
I was just going to say with wrestling cards, it's always a long game. So my hope, my hope on like the Kofi remarks and the Big E's is that champions will be recognized over a longer period of time. And on the graded front, couldn't agree more. I think just look at basketball cards, look at Steph Curry any year, parallel short printed, LeBron James. It doesn't matter. And especially with Prism, it doesn't matter. Obviously the rookie cards are going to command more based on the rarity and scarcity, but there's rarity and scarcity within the grading itself too. So like, to me, I'm a big grader. I buy graded wrestling cards. I grade wrestling cards myself. And I think there's so much opportunity right now. And to me, I look at some of the stuff that's out there, specifically with guys like Roman Reigns who are carrying the company, and that those cards, I'm anticipating growth over time, especially when you get Prism out there and you get Panini in the mix. So I'm more bullish on wrestling cards ever before. They could be worth nothing and I would love them, but I see this license really helping elevate and take it to the next level with grading, raw cards, all different segments of the hobby.
I think we all joined when they were worth nothing. So what do we have to lose?
Exactly. We loved them all when they were worth nothing. We collected for fun and we enjoy the hobby. That's why. Any closing thoughts from you, Adam?
No, I think Brett hit it again. We share a brain. I think the like I'm the opposite of Brett. I'm not a graded per card person. If you follow me on Twitter, you know my thoughts. But the advent of Prism into this, the advent of Panini into this will bring eyes that are entirely dependent on grading. And I think for the first time, and this is the first time I've ever said it on Twitter, in any of the Facebook groups or anything, this is the time to get all of your wrestling cards in for grading, because you want to be at the forefront when all of these people are coming back to the hobby. And the only thing that they know is graded wrestling, graded cards from basketball and football. I'm not grading any of mine, but as a sort of like aside for everybody, as a tip, like, my not investment advice, all that, language, whatever, like get it going. Additionally, I think Panini tends to appeal to a certain type of collector, right? So, the people that are on this call, I think, represent a good swath of what's existing right now. If you go to any of the Facebook groups or on Twitter, like, it's a really wide variety, but I always equate Panini cards in a lot of cases to the cards that you would take to the strip club. And like, that's the kind of like mindset that they put forth with their VIP parties and stuff. And I think their fan base kind of represents a lot of the high dollar, super premium people. So I think that could breed some really interesting pricing fluctuations, but I think it also may breed some product lines that maybe we haven't had access to with Topps, because their history and their basis has always been with set collectors and baseball card collectors, which aren't super premium people until most recently, probably 2010. So I think like there's going to be some challenges here and some growing pains that a lot of people are going to have to go through. And, I'm in it to win it. Obviously, you can see behind me all my Becky Lynch stuff. Like that's not going anywhere. But I think to determine, kind of to Brett's point, like, I'm in this, like, I'm not going away. But yeah, my life is going to change significantly.
Chuckster?
Well, I'm all about, when it comes to collecting, I'm all about the firsts and the lasts. I jumped in all fours for the AEW first set. I'm going to probably jump in on the first Panini and then see how it goes. I'm not going to obviously buy the boxes, but I'm going to try to at least put together a base set. I'm really anxious to see what they do, because like I've said in the past, as much as I like Topps and I'm kind of sorry to see them go because they've been in my life forever, I want to see change. And I think Panini's going to bring something new and exciting. And yeah, I'm going to get in on it, at least the first set, because again, it's the first set. And then we'll see how it goes from there. I'll make my decision at the time, but I'm just anxious to see what it's going to be bringing to the hobby. I think it's going to be fun.
And then a great time for you to, like you said before, to go in and fill in the holes from the previous releases. Now you can actually kind of focus on that a little bit more, don't you?
Exactly. Yes.
Paul,
because there's so much out there that I have. There's so much out there I got to take care of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You, Paul. Paul.
Oh, hi. Yeah, like I said, I'm optimistic. I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I mean, honestly, from the Topps point of view, it can't get any worse for me. So I'm quite looking forward to both new releases, the Upper Deck and the Panini. And let me just say thanks to you gentlemen for hanging out tonight, and fun to chat about this and sort of.
It's been fun.
Out there.
How about you, Matt? Close it out.
Hey, I'm excited. Hey, Panini releases it. I'm going to catalog it, checklist it, put it in Beckett's database, price it. And let's just say all those Beckett wrestling almanacs are going to get a lot fatter now. They're going to have a lot more content. So, hey, it's exciting times.
At least you won't, you won't have 2022 Beckett almanac out by then.
No, not yet. But
you won't have to wait till
2023 will be.
Yeah, the thickness will happen in 2023 for you.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just excited about the hobby. I'm excited that something is buzzing and bringing a lot of attention to the hobby. I hope it transcends beyond just our bubble of people that are in the hobby already. We saw that a little bit with the grading aspects, people kind of getting in like, hey, can I make some quick money over there real quick? I'm just kind of hoping that the Panini brand brings a lot more eyes on our hobby, because there's never too many eyes on our hobby. I mean, I've always said that wrestling cards from a value standpoint doesn't get the love and respect that it does, because it doesn't have enough zeros behind it, as opposed to other sports. If we get a first six-figure.
Well, it doesn't now, but it will.
Oh, it will. It will. But you know, once we get that first 6-figure card, I think it was like 100 grand for a card. I'm interested now. I'm used to having 100 grand cards in baseball and basketball and football, you know. So I think that it brings more eyes on the product. So I'm really happy about it. But I thank you guys, all you guys, for coming tonight. It's a quick, I know, short notice, and I really appreciate your guys' time. We all have families and things we got to do. So I really appreciate the time, man.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Tony.
No problem.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Anybody else? Any final parting word? Nothing else? Everyone, I want to plug all your places. I mean, Brett, where can people find you?
Stacking Slabs everywhere. Just go check it out. I got a podcast that drops Wednesdays and Fridays.
How about you, Adam?
At SC Uncensored, Sports Cards Uncensored on Twitter. You can find me WWE Gellman on Instagram, and you can visit Wrestling Card Central .com on the internet. And
No, you had it right. You had it right. Keep going. Wrestling Trading
yeah,
Cards.
I got so much shit. I can't even remember it all. Yeah. WrestlingCardCentral.com and SportsCardsUncensored.com.
Chuckster.
Just find me at Chuckster on Twitter. That's about the only place I hang out these days.
I'm imagining for Paul.
The wrestling card price guide.com, at card_guide on Twitter.
And how about you, Matt?
You can just find me at Beckett.com and nonsportupdate.com.
I keep forgetting that you guys bought Non-Sport Update, man. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Keep forgetting that. And for us, everything's on WrestlingTradingCards.com. Place to go for checklist information on all things wrestling trading cards. And I guess with that, we're done, guys.
Peace out, guys.
Take care.
Right.
Thanks, guys.